Growing up in Coalfire, Alabama, I often attended Coalfire Baptist Church. Coalfire is a community that is just west of Reform, Alabama, and this church is where my Bonner grandparents attended. I did not know a lot of the history of this church or my Bonner family connection to it until a little bit later, but this video records it for future generations. The church was at one time a one-room schoolhouse. The building and 2 acres of land were donated to establish a church. The church was organized on June 30th, 1940, with 13 charter members. The first 3 deacons were Iverson Bonner, he is my great-grandfather, Linus Bonner, or he was often called Shorty. I don't think anybody knew him by Linus, so I will refer to him as Shorty. So he's my great-uncle. And Tom Collier. He was eventually father-in-law to Shorty. The church sent Jonathan Bonner, he was a grandson of Shorty, and my second cousin, to Canada on a missions volunteer trip in the summer of 1987. Jonathan also painted the beautiful painting that hangs in the baptistry. Michael, Jonathan's brother, is part-time pastor of the church. The original name was Coalfire First Baptist Church, and in 1982 it was renamed as Coalfire Baptist Church. Coalfire Baptist Church does not have its own cemetery, and many of the Bonner family members are buried at Arbor Springs Baptist Church near Reform, Alabama. The 13 charter members were Judge Iverson Bonner, Blanche Bonner, Mamie Darling, Vera Bonner, Shorty Bonner, Pauline Bates, Linton Burgess, Burton Burgess, Linwood Bryant, Tom Collier, Carrie Collier, and Mr. and Mrs. James Bryant. Several of these charter members are related to me. For example, Judge Iverson Bonner, he is my great-grandfather. He was 68 years old when the church was formed, and within 6 years, he would actually die at Sunday services from a heart attack. Blanche Bonner was Iverson's 3rd wife. Everybody called her Big Mama, and she was 38 years old at the founding of the church. According to all of the grandchildren of Iverson, Big Mama was influential in their lives in many ways, not just at church. Vera was my grandmother, my paternal grandmother, and she was 23 years old when she became a charter member. My father was only 3 years old at the time, and he was the only child at that point. Shorty was 33 years old, and he married the next year in 1941 to Alice Levita Collier. Now, Alice was the daughter of Tom Collier and Carrie Collier. So eventually Tom and Carrie became the mother-in-law and father-in-law to Shorty. I have many memories in that church. I remember as a little kid, I was in a play at Christmas time, and I was supposed to be Frosty the Snowman. And I was in my little white suit that my mother had made for me. And I just remember walking out and being completely overwhelmed by the number of people who were looking at me. Now, this is a small church, but I was only probably 5 or 6 years old at the time, and I completely froze. I had one line, and even to this day, I cannot remember what it was. I also remember listening to my grandmother sing in that church many times, and she would also do prayer. She would also lead some of the educational events at the church and things like that. She was very involved, and it was surreal to me to actually stand in that church and give a eulogy for my father, for instance, because I had seen her stand up there so many times. I could actually feel her presence in that church. And she was the last charter member to pass away in 2004.